Thank you very much for the kind introduction. Hi all. Thank you to the Basel Institute. Thank you to the UNODC for inviting me here. It's great to be in Vienna. I've started my career as an investigative reporter researching organized crime here in Vienna while I was a researcher at the Institute for Human Sciences. So I would go between Vienna and Colombia to try to understand the economics of cocaine. Those are fun times about 22 years ago. And also about fun. I mean, criminals unfortunately have a lot of fun when they go about their business, and they have a lot of fun with crypto. We just heard a really interesting talk about ransomware, and I was in California about a month ago, and I was in Monterey at a meeting with the CEOs of various companies, banks, and one of the CEOs of one of the banks that I won't name said that this year they were ransomwared on a Friday morning, California time. And she was dealing with this, and by midday, they came to the conclusion that they had to pay urgently, rapidly. So they got in touch with the ransomware group to pay, except the ransomware group, which was on the other side of the world, it was very late there, said, you'll have to wait until Monday. No, going on holiday now. So this is a business. It's actually a huge business, and it's unfortunately growing. So at OCCRP, what we do is we try to connect the physical with the digital. We kind of go between servers and the physical reality. We have a network of investigative reporters right now on 6 continents, and they are focused on investigating, understanding, and exposing organized crime at its highest levels. Now, I'll focus my talk right now on crypto ATMs, and this is where we try to understand, some of the interfaces between the criminal side of the cryptocurrency industry and the physical world. And we try to understand how people lose money because of these crypto ATMs. So just quickly, so a crypto ATM, as you probably know, looks just like a regular ATM. It's a machine that has a screen and has a place, to insert fiat currency, to insert banknotes. It has a place to attach your wireless credit card, which actually rarely works. It's mostly designed to take physical money. And the idea is that you put in your banknotes and you get crypto, usually Bitcoin, in a wallet, but not just Bitcoin. And this is for a huge markup. The fees to use this type of ATMs, it's over 9%, and sometimes it even goes to 20%. This is, I'm drawing a parallel here, but this was the cost of money laundering in about the 1980s. In 1980s, the cost of money laundering would be between 10 and 20% of the criminal proceeds. So it's quite high. Sometimes these type of crypto ATMs advertise very low fees, but then they price the Bitcoin at very high cost. So the Bitcoin may be today $60,000, but it will be priced at these crypto ATMs at 80,000, 90,000, although the fee will be 3%, let's say. So there are various ways in which the people who create these networks of crypto ATMs make a lot of money. In very, very few cases, when we looked at, for instance, crypto ATMs, even in the US, we looked at crypto ATMs in Chicago, for instance, or we looked at crypto ATMs in Colombia or in Romania or in many places. There's minimum requirements for identification. Usually just, it's enough if you provide a phone number in order to use these crypto ATMs. In some cases, people are better and they ask for some ID. So, there are exceptions. But usually, these crypto ATMs are tucked somewhere, underneath some stairs in a shopping mall or in a bit of a dark place in a pub. There are lots of crypto ATMs in pubs and so on. So what you do there is you basically exchange your crypto without exchange your fiat into crypto without much check. So the other thing with this is that the crypto ATMs ask the users to manage the public and the private key associated with the transaction, which opens up various avenues for criminals to get these keys from the people. So there are people who get mugged, close to these ATMs. People who are scared into giving away their passwords. So this is obviously unlike crypto exchanges, where crypto exchanges act as custodians of these keys. Okay, so one case that we investigated was that of a lady who was 77 years old from Chicago. She got an email, a very threatening email, from someone pretending that person was with the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, who said, well, Anne, you're in big trouble. You have a jail sentence on your name, and you have to pay these fines, if you want to get rid of this conviction. And Anne, 77, got scared. She was told that she can get rid of the conviction if she goes to the bank, if she withdraws $9,000. And why $9,000? I'll let you guess. Obviously, there's usually a threshold when it comes to checking this type of transactions, which is usually 10,000. But so she went to the bank. She withdrew the 9,000. She went to the crypto ATM near a gas station. She put the money in, and the money went to a crypto exchange, in this case called OKX, which is based in the Seychelles. And from there, we worked with Crystal to try to track down the funds, but we kind of, the transaction got short-circuited there because it probably went into a peer-to-peer service, like a small crypto broker, and the crypto exchange would not cooperate in any way to track down Anne's money. So she ended up obviously with money lost. Now, Anne is one example in many, and this happened in the US. This happens a lot in other countries, and is not even reported. And this is something that we're very much focused on, because as investigative reporters, we work in the public interest, and we want to protect the vulnerable as much as we can. Now, it's not just crypto ATMs where we see this happening. We're also seeing a lot of physical offices of crypto exchanges. And usually, the trend that we've noticed was that a lot of these physical offices where you can actually go with cash to exchange that for various types of cryptocurrencies, they are established by former schemers, by people who are involved in cloning credit cards for many, many years. So these people set up these exchanges, and these exchanges are sometimes these peer-to-peer services that then correspond with exchanges like OKX and others. It's like, if you want an analogy in the banking system, it's like you set up a very small bank somewhere in Riga, Latvia, and that very small bank is designed for money laundering, and that small bank will be able to open up corresponding bank accounts with larger banks, with Raiffeisen, with Bank of America, with Deutsche Bank, you name it. So it's the same system. And except, if you look at how refined the money laundering that goes through banks is compared to the one that goes through crypto exchanges, what you'll notice is that money laundering, the cost of money laundering via banks decreased to about 0.1% of the criminal proceeds, while, as I mentioned before, with crypto exchanges and these crypto ATMs, we are at over 9%. So I think this speaks a little bit to the future, because what we'll see more and more is a proliferation of these crypto ATMs and these physical crypto exchanges, so that the cost of money laundering will be greatly decreased. This is what we're calling at OCCRP, at my organization, laundromats. We've seen these laundromats when it comes to banks. We're going to see this large scale when it comes to crypto exchanges and crypto ATMs. So I think that's where a lot of the game is, in order to investigate, to understand how criminals will operate in the future. Okay, I guess that's my last one. And then I'll speak a little bit about how we see this evolving, how we see this this type of investigation where you follow the money, and you have to follow the money across blockchains as well. Because obviously, we're talking about a lot of money annually in criminal money. The estimates are, between 2 and 3 trillion, but let's say 1 trillion a year, in all sorts of criminal money. Now, most of it obviously still goes through the banking system, and some of it goes through the cryptocurrency systems. What's interesting is the flexibility that allows, the criminals to kind of go between crypto and fiat right now. The flexibility offered by these crypto exchanges, by these crypto ATMs. So where we're seeing the game right now as investigative reporters is at a combination of databases. We, for instance, created at OCCRP a long time ago, and we keep on adapting a system called Aleph. At Aleph, what we do is we indexed, I believe right now, over, close to 200 terabytes of information. This is mostly text, so a lot of text. These are court cases. These are all sorts of leaks. These are company records, and you name it, everything that we can get our hands on. We index it there, and what Aleph does is it has an entity extraction function where we created our own taxonomy, and it's a taxonomy that's focused at organized crime. So we defined the terms that we needed to extract from the data in order to map organized crime and to follow the money. And what we created is called .ftm, follow the money. Now, in the past years, we added the identification, for instance, of crypto wallets to this ontology, to our taxonomy. So what we're doing is we're looking, for instance, at a court case. And we're seeing that in the court case is about a criminal group that operates in Turkey, let's say. It's from a Turkish court, and we see that this criminal group wired, or used a certain crypto wallet in some instance. We extract that crypto wallet, and we obviously go to Crystal or to Elliptic to try to track down other places where this crypto wallet was transacting, ideally, some dark markets and all of that. But we do more than that. Now that we know that this criminal group is dealing in this way, is trying to launder money using crypto, we're looking for all the other affiliated entities that are associated with the criminal group that we extract from this court record, and we match that against court records from all over the world. We've seen, for instance, criminal groups operating in Ciudad del Este in Paraguay, who dealt directly with ransomware groups in Russia, because these groups were actually Russians living in Ciudad del Este in Paraguay. We've seen all types of cross-border connections, and that's, in my opinion, where the game is in order to be able to stop this, let's say, crypto money laundering from happening as much as possible. It's one thing to try to attack the crypto infrastructure. I think that's crucial, obviously, and to put more regulation into place. But it's really important to understand where the money goes. And the money doesn't stay in the blockchain, right? The money is always invested somewhere. And those are, despite, the tumblers and the bridges and everything in between that obviously criminals are very creative, those are the places where we can all kind of attack organized crime at their investment places. And when I'm saying this, I'm talking about investment places that grew over the past decades. Imagine, let's say not 3 trillion, right? Let's say 1 trillion a year for the past 20, 30 years. That's a lot of money. Where do you think that money went? In my opinion, it went mostly to real estate, to the real estate sector all over the place. And we've seen lately also real estate transactions conducted via cryptocurrencies. And we've seen property exchanging hands based on NFTs, right? Where the NFT would be the documents of that property. So I think that's where we need to up our game quite a bit. And I'm very much aware of the fact that law enforcement cannot really go fishing for information, which is, a very, very big part of our work as investigative reporters. But I believe between the commercial sector and journalism, we can do a lot more fishing in order not just to follow the case, but to expand from a particular case, from a particular investigation to something a lot bigger. And I'm talking here about all these transactions that we saw before being entry points into the behavior of criminal groups, entry points into their investment places, entry points into their enablers. The enablers being, obviously, in crypto terms, let's say this exchanges like maybe OKX, who are not collaborating really to track down these stolen funds, and many others that we heard about right here. And I believe unless we do that, the cleavage that takes place right now, this split between, you see, even in the fiat world, right? You have this, the parallel systems to SWIFT. You have MIR, you have others, There's all this trend to separate as much as possible so that law enforcement, investigative reporters, activists cannot follow the money. That will happen more and more in the crypto area as well. And this is where us as investigative reporters see ourselves with an important role to try to connect with the public, to try to work more in the public interest, and to kind of connect the dots where others cannot. Because for us as investigative reporters, it's not hard to, for instance, work with a journalist in Iran. For law enforcement, law enforcement here in Vienna, working with law enforcement in Iran, it's an impossibility right now. So that's where investigative reporting kind of plays quite an important role in understanding the innovation in organized crime and in countering that innovation through creating our own systems and through sharing of patterns. And this is what I would advise everybody here. I know that the second day is meant only for law enforcement and it's very secretive, but I would really advise law enforcement and everybody to be a bit more open when it comes to patterns, not cases, patterns. What's going on all over the world, What are the places where journalists should look? I mean, we need to be educated. We need, pieces of information, but then we can fly, we can run with those pieces of information. So thank you very much. And do we have time for one question? Or?
Well, thank you so much for the important work that is done from the project and for stressing and highlighting the importance of follow the money, follow the assets, follow the crypto assets. So we still have, 2-3 minutes to go. So please, address some of the questions.
Oh, sorry. I don't see this collaboration between investigative reporters and law enforcement as being something where you exchange data, where you exchange information, because that would not be right. There needs to be a natural tension between law enforcement and investigative reporting. But I believe when it comes to the larger patterns, when it comes to the technologies used, when it comes to how organized crime operate, I believe there should be a lot more exchange there. And in fact, with Basel Institute, we've organized trainings, workshops for law enforcement in Switzerland and other countries, and that was quite successful because it educated both parties in a very meaningful way. Well, yes, there's more and more jurisdictions that are the usual offshore kind of suspects, right? That are used by, to install these crypto ATMs. But we're seeing a trend, for instance, in Colombia, where I'm actually based right now, we're seeing more and more crypto ATMs in areas where tourists come to buy their cocaine. Cocaine is very, very cheap in Colombia, and lots of tourism, unfortunately, is cocaine tourism and sex tourism in Colombia. And we're seeing lots of ATMs based in those places. So I think this should be a focus of the law enforcement, not just Colombian law enforcement, because the money doesn't usually stay in Colombia, but other law enforcement. Well, I mean, legitimate cases of crypto ATMs, sure. I think, some people are just inclined to kind of play the Bitcoin and play the, the investor, small scale investor. I have friends who are using this crypto ATM. Sometimes they allow you to actually get fiat, to get banknotes from the ATM. Very rarely, though, and they kind of use that, sometimes too. But I think there are very few legitimate use cases for these crypto ATMs at the moment. And I think the people putting them and placing them in these locations, obscure locations, aren't that much interested in the legit usage of them, because that's not where they make the money. Do you share access of the? No, our Aleph is open, so it has an open side to it, and I think law enforcement is using that open side, and I know banks, compliance, due diligence services are using it. We don't make available confidential data sets. We make available public data sets that are indexed in a very clever way. So that's where we've also set up a thing called the Global Anti-Corruption Consortium, where we cooperate with activists, Transparency International, which is then filing complaints with the law enforcement based on our reporting. So that's our way to kind of move cases and to kind of go from the investigative reporting to the actual action that can be enabled by law enforcement. In this way, we contributed to the recovery of more than $10 billion from various bad parties. So, and I believe this is a great service to society, because as investigative reporters, we can expose, we can investigate, we can see trends, but it is the law enforcement that does the work, against the criminals directly. Thank you.